Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. I think you're going to enjoy this next segment. I'm going to have to ask you to suspend anything you've ever believed about the Kennedy assassination in order to hear with an open mind what you're about to hear. Part of this interview stems from something I was watching online regarding Dorothy Kilgallen, who was, I guess, one of the panelists on the TV show What's My Line. And apparently she was, in addition to having that as a claim to fame, she was a popular journalist back in the 1960s. And she apparently had some information about the Kennedy assassination and was going to reveal it. And then next thing you know, she was found dead in her apartment in New York. And it's always been a mystery. And then I found out that there's a lady named Judith Baker who has a book called Me and Lee. And so it was quite coincidental that we had an opportunity to speak to Judith. And she's on the phone right now. Judith Baker went to the University of Florida, by the way, in our listening audience. So if you're listening up there, she is one of your alumni. You say alumni or alumna? What do you say when it's a lady? Alumni?
Alumni, I think.
Her book is called Me and Lee, How I Came to Know, Love, and Lose Lee Harvey Oswald. Holy cow. This is a huge opportunity to get to know something. And as I said, you have to kind of suspend anything you already believe you know about the Kennedy assassination. Good morning, Judith.
Hello. Thank you for that great introduction. I appreciate that.
Wow. So you've been holding back with this story for how many years now? 60? Yeah, it's got
actually, I first spoke out in 1999, but I was threatened. In the History Channel did it's called The Love Affair. You can find that on YouTube in 2003. Then I had to move to Europe because of death threats.
Wow. Wow. And so many years later, you're still having death threats, but now you're in the clear. You're okay now?
Well, they're dying. I mean, the people who were upset about all this, they're dying like flies. I'm outliving them.
Yeah. So where are you right now, or can you not say?
Of course not. But thank you, Larry, for the opportunity to speak to you here.
Are you in America or are you overseas?
I am right now. I am. I have difficulty coming. I actually got arrested in Switzerland before getting here over a small technicality.
Oh, okay.
That's the way it goes.
All right, so let's go back to before the Kennedy assassination, because none of us knew the name Lee Harvey Oswald until obviously the assassination. When did you and Lee, how did you meet and where did you meet?
Well, I was in cancer research. There are a lot of newspaper articles about me. Senator Smathers is the one that gave me a full scholarship, University of Florida. And there are a lot of newspaper articles showing that I had been given special training and so on. And what happened is, actually, I was trained to make cancer more deadly, and their excuse for this, because I wanted to cure cancer, and I didn't realize that I was an untraceable asset, that I wasn't a doctor or something like that, I thought I was getting all this special training. Their excuse was that if we figure out how to make cancer more deadly, then we know how to attack it and to cure it, you see. And actually what they were doing is trying to develop a biological weapon to use against Fidel Castro. The CIA was doing a lot of that. And I went to International Science Fair in 1960 with the invention I had made in magnesium. And, so I represented, I was the first female from Florida to win the physical sciences top award and go to International Science Fair. And one of the prizes was to be on a aircraft carrier, because I was female, they wouldn't let me on.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the way it was back then. So women, it was harder for them to become doctors and so on. In fact, it still is in many ways. But anyway, so I was invited to New Orleans. It's a long story, but there are 3 doctors that were interested in what I had done. I had induced cancer in mice when I was just 17. In only 7 days, and they hadn't done that in the biggest labs. I had a lot of contacts, though, and friends at Oak Ridge and Walter Reed, and retired military officers who were in research and so on. But I did it myself. So anyway, I was very excited at being invited to go to New Orleans, and that is a hotbed there. Lee Oswald was sent to New Orleans to pretend to be pro-Castro. See, Castro was sending a lot of spies there and to Miami because that's where the anti-Castro Cubans were training. They wanted to come back and invade Cuba. Some of them also were in projects to try to, like, kill Castro with a bazooka and so on. So Castro had his spies. Lee Oswald pretended to be pro-Castro, handing out pamphlets, and if a Cuban came by and picked one up and didn't throw it away, they were followed. And several ended up responding to his fake FPCC, the Fair Play for Cuba Committee.
Okay.
He was the only member. All right, so anyway, he was sent there to New Orleans, and he was protecting what we were involved in. And what we're involved in was trying to create a biological weapon. This is the height of the Cold War. If Castro got cancer from smoking cigars, and actually the cancer was induced because of just as if it were just a shot he was getting,
Right.
Yeah, so we thought that U.S. doesn't get blamed. So that's how I met Lee. He was protecting our group.
Okay, so and he was. I'm not clear how he was protecting your group. What was his job?
Well, his job, Castro is trying to find out who's trying to kill him. And when you have a project going on involving a lot of medical stuff, and all those people hate Castro.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, I want to keep up with you. Okay, so it sounds like you were in New Orleans. You were one of the developers of something that made cancer worse, correct?
Yeah, we have newspaper articles about it even. I mean, my name was with it. Yeah.
And then in order to protect you, because you had a specific target, namely Fidel Castro, how many people were actually protecting you, and how many other people were in that laboratory?
Well, there was a ring of labs. In each area, the people really didn't know what was going on. We had what was called a product going around. They had irradiated these mice and got a horrible cancer out of. And then they choose the fastest growing cancers and inject those into more mice. And by the time I was in the project, remember, I was able to give cancer to mice in 7 days. Well, they had similar projects going on, and they wanted to give cancer to Fidel Castro.
Okay.
To get him out of the way. All right. So there were many attempts to kill Castro. So I met a lot of people in New Orleans.
All right. How would it have been administered? Was it a pill? Was it a drink? How would you get?
Okay. Here's the way. Actually, you know how you get your flu shots and your DPT shots and so on.
Right.
You have to come up for me. Well, Castro was coming up for those, and the idea was to inject this virus into him that would give him cancer. He would never know. You see, here's the thing. You may have a doctor that trusts you, but the technician who hands you the penicillin shot.
Okay. So how come that never happened? Why did that never actually happen?
Well, what happened is Lee was a courier, actually, to take it to Mexico City. That's really the reason he went. By the way, secret records have come out to support my book, Me and Lee, including that he did go to Mexico City. It's really exciting. Right. And a lot of people are interested in the book because of that. Okay, so the idea is, you see, Castro would be up for this shot.
Right.
And the doctor would trust. He's gonna say, hey, he needs a penicillin shot. He's gonna go out there,
right? And
the technician hands it to him. Okay, now think about that. Who's the technician? All right. So we had a lot of people that were anti-Castro, and had infiltrated a lot of the hospitals and so on.
Okay.
Now what stopped it is Hurricane Flora came through, and the product, it was a live product. It only had a shelf life of a certain number of days,
right? And
the project was called off.
Okay.
But that put Lee in Mexico City, and that made him look like he loved Castro because he was trying to get into Cuba.
Okay. So answer the romantic question. How did you guys fall in love? Did he take you out to dinner? Did you? I mean, what happened?
Well, he finally. What happened is basically this. I thought I was in love with a man. And I was in love with sex, is what it was. I was young and didn't know the difference.
Well, that's okay. And, that's human. So the two of you were having sex?
No, this was with my husband. He married me, and the next day he abandoned me in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
So how did you?
So my feelings were very hurt, and Lee Oswald stepped in. I actually got kicked out of the rooming house I was in.
Okay.
The night my husband left, and I had nowhere to go. So yeah, he rescued me. We fell in love. my gosh.
So how did he rescue you? What did he do?
Well, in that case, I was very naive, and I had rented a room, and I was waiting for my doctors to come back. I had come 2 weeks early to New Orleans.
Right.
And Lee was sent to protect me because I had gotten in with the wrong company. I was very naive. Anyway, this place that I rented, my husband married me. The next day he said, well, I'm going. I said, what? He said, well, you wouldn't have married me if you knew I was going to be gone all summer. I mean, he abandoned me in New Orleans. And he left. That same night, the police raided where I was because I was so ignorant. I had actually rented a room in a whorehouse.
Okay.
And it got raided, and I was thrown out in the streets. I only had, Lee was supposed to protect us in this project, and I was able to call him. He moved me into an apartment near his, and many things happened. We fell in love.
Okay. So, all right. So you fell in love. You have a relationship. Now he goes to Mexico City as a way to get to Cuba.
Yes, and that's the real reason he wanted to get there. Originally, he was just supposed to hand off the project to somebody else to get the product in, and that person didn't show up because of the hurricane. He hadn't even come near Cuba yet, but they said Castro wasn't going to be where he was. He was going to be out there in the field.
All right, in what way was President Kennedy involved with that whole project?
Well, here's the thing. Secretly, the U.S. government wasn't supposed to be trying to kill Castro anymore, but they really were. And knowing these kind of things, the people who wanted to kill Castro and invade Cuba again were very angry at Kennedy. Kennedy actually fired members of the CIA. Like you have Charles Cabell, a CIA, and he's a general. He was in charge of the Bay of Pigs thing. It was all messed up, as you know. Kennedy had to take the blame. Well, he made sure he got fired. Cabell's brother is Earl Cabell of Dallas, Texas. So when Kennedy was there, he was shot in General Cabell's brother's own city there. And now we have new records that just came out showing that Earl Cabell was CIA, just like his brother. So a lot of
let me take a little break. I have Judith Very Baker is on the phone. Her book is called Me and Lee, How I Came to Know, Love, and Lose Lee Harvey Oswald, of all things. And she's actually an alumni of the University of Florida, calling in from an unknown place because she can't let us know. But it's someplace here in the United States, sounds like. So we'll take a little break and kind of catch your breath. The phone is lighting up off the hook. I'm going to try to take some phone calls, but mostly I wanted to make sure you got the story out there. There's no way we're going to get this whole story into this radio interview. The book has got everything in it. But let me push a button, take a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, @yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Hi, my name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. Do you have a gout-ridden toe or bowels that move too slow, creaky knees, or how about an asthmatic wheeze? Then acupuncture is sure to please. Come visit me, your primary care physician, Erica Olstein, at A Better You Healthcare. Call me at 352-615-5566. That's 352-615-5566.
That was the sound of a tree falling. It could be your tree. You're going to have it trimmed, but never got around to calling Pride Tree Service. It could have fallen in a field, and now all you have to do is call Pride Tree Service, and they'll have it quickly out of the way for a great price. But don't wait until the tree falls. It may not fall in the field. It may hit your car, your house, or worse. So call Pride Tree Service today and avoid all those headaches before they happen. Pride Tree Service, 572-2510. That's 572-2510.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Another tip for wannabe moms: avoid eating large predatory fish like tuna, swordfish, mackerel, and shark if you're into that. What if you're telling a new special friend intimate details about your life? You're taking an emotional risk with somebody who isn't your spouse. We spend more time on the toilet each week than exercising. Thanks for studying this.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Career Source Citrus Levy Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
All right, this is an interesting conversation. 21 minutes after 11 o'clock, Judith Very Baker is on the phone. The book is huge. It's called Me and Lee, How I Came to Know, Love, and Lose Lee Harvey Oswald. I know that some of you are probably doubting what she's saying. I was reading reviews. Some people embrace it. Some people doubt it. One columnist wrote, if Judith Very Baker is telling the truth, it will change the way we think about the Kennedy assassination. Judith offers an account that integrates much that has been written about the assassination into a more or less coherent whole and puts a myriad of facts about the assassination into an entirely new light. I opened this interview talking about Dorothy Kilgallen, who had been one of the panelists, that's how I know her, from the old TV show, I think I've Got a Secret, or one of those... whatever it was. Anyway, I remember the story that said, and I wanted to see if Judith had any information about this, where Dorothy Kilgallen had told somebody after interviewing Jack Ruby, oh my gosh, I've got some news that's going to blow this whole thing wide open, and then that night she was found dead. Did you know anything about that, Judith?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I can quickly fill in some blanks there for you. She was the only one to ever interview Jack Ruby without any witnesses being present. So he told her things that he didn't tell anybody else. Now, Dorothy was found dead on a bed that she never slept on. She always went upstairs, and this was a different bed, one where people would think she might be sleeping. She had a book with her, but her glasses were over in another area. She couldn't read it without the glasses. She had several different kinds of pills in her system. This is often the case. David Ferry, my friend, 97 pills were found missing in his stomach contents, and they said he committed suicide. You know, a man will shoot himself or something. I won't use pills.
All right.
And damage their mouth inside so it's bloody. Okay, to commit suicide.
Right.
Most of my friends died. Now, Lee Oswald, you understand, when I met him, I knew he was a hero. This is the height of the Cold War. He'd just come back from 30 months in the USSR just the year before, and he's walking around a free man. He was one of ours. So it's easy to frame him. He couldn't say, I'm CIA, when they arrested him. All those contacts in the USSR, they would have executed him. They knew that he would try secretly to say who he was. Well, they shot him in front of 70 police in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. So there's no question that Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald, but there's always been a question as to whether Lee Harvey Oswald either A, shot anybody or was alone in shooting the president, right?
No, in fact, in Florida, right there in Florida, there were so many anti-Castro Cubans, and they were my friends. And I had even dated Tony Lopez Fresquet, who was the son of the finance minister of Cuba, Rufo Lopez Fresquet, down there in Cuba for Castro's Cuba. I was deeply involved in all that. One reason they put me on this, I wouldn't object to getting rid of Castro because he had aimed nuclear weapons at my family and us there in Florida. And I'm telling you right now that, you have. So when I came to New Orleans, Lee Oswald tells me, listen, you got to understand that Kennedy is a good man. I mean, he changed my mind about Kennedy. There's no possible way he would have killed Kennedy.
Wow. Let me squeeze in a couple of phone calls if you don't mind. Judith Very Baker, again, is our guest. The book is called Me and Lee, How I Came to Know, Love, and Lose Lee Harvey Oswald. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. Dorothy Kilgallen was a columnist for the Hearst newspapers. She had a column very similar to Jack Anderson's. And she also hosted a morning radio program in the New York City area with her husband. It was called Breakfast with Dorothy and Dick. Her husband's name was Richard Kalmar.
Okay.
So if that helps you any, and I'll hang up.
All right, thank you. That part I knew. Judith, I have a question. Where were you when the news hit that the president had been shot?
Okay, I objected to their injecting prisoners without their knowledge with this stuff to test it, and they kicked me out of the project. It saved my life. I was Judy Very when I was in New Orleans, but I was Mrs. Robert Ellison Baker III with my mouth shut when I went back to Florida. I was working at that time at Peninsular Chem Research. They messed up all my records. This is what happens to people. I mean, if you look at my records at University of Florida, it says I had a D in chemistry. I, who invented a new method to get magnesium out of seawater, I, who love chemistry, they have me down for a D in chemistry, so I could never work in the field again. But I do have all my records showing I was at Peninsular Chem Research doing cutting-edge research.
Okay, so
and that's where I was sitting there, and I knew that he was trying his best to do what he could. He had joined an abort team to try to save Kennedy.
So the part I'm confused about. So you did not have a relationship, a romantic one, with Lee Harvey Oswald?
Oh, yes, I did.
No, let me finish the question. Did you have, I'll ask it differently. Did you have a relationship at the time Kennedy was shot?
Yes. We were still in contact with each other.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you were married to Baker.
But because they told me don't get your maiden name out there because he can be traced. It's just a rare name, Vary. But I was going to divorce him. Lee and I were going to get married. Lee was not even living with his wife at the time.
Okay.
And I wasn't getting along with my husband at all.
Fascinating story for sure. The book is called...
we have new witnesses have come out and new records have come out in July that substantiate. That's why everybody's interested in the book again.
This is a 608-page book. It's chock full of lots of photographs, lots of documents that have been scanned and printed, information that will perhaps change the way you think about the Kennedy assassination or not. I guess you can choose whether to accept what Judith has to say in the book or not. But I have a copy of the book. That's what I wanted to say. If you would like the copy that was sent to us, you are welcome to it. Just call me and it's yours. The rest of us have to go buy it. I found it on Amazon. Judith, you have a website you want to address, direct us to?
Yeah, well, you can... Judith Baker on Facebook, Judyth Baker on Facebook. You can also go to please do JFKDallasConference.com so that you can come and hear 31 speakers. I formed this conference. A lot of people know I'm telling the truth. We have a lot of new witnesses. We have a lot of new evidence. And it's been making a real sensation. That's why I'm talking to you now.
Okay. And if you want to read more about this, there's also another website that I went to just now to make sure it was working. It's meandlee.com. There's a website for that as well. You can't deny this is fascinating. This is fascinating stuff. And we've always felt like there was something that we weren't being told about the Kennedy assassination. And I don't know that we'll ever know everything. But Judith, thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Well, thank you, Larry. There's a lot more to say. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone, at least this much. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. We'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
Gene Powell pasture mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front-end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell pasture mowing, 352-629-2440.
Hi, my name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. Do you have a gout-ridden toe or bowels that move too slow, creaky knees, or how about an asthmatic wheeze? Then acupuncture is sure to please. Come visit me, your primary care physician, Erica Olstein, at A Better You Healthcare. Call me at 352-615-5566. That's 352-615-5566.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. The Democrats say it's about spite and sabotage. President Trump ending Obamacare insurance subsidies to help cover lower-income Americans. Some insurance companies have said they'd leave the market or raise rates if this happens, but Attorney General Jeff Sessions says the subsidies are illegal.
It's clear, we believe, that the appropriation must come from Congress. The president cannot do it. A federal judge has already held that that is the case.
The Attorney General on Fox and Friends. An American woman and her family rescued from kidnappers in Pakistan have left the country.
Caitlin Coleman and her family are understood to have left Pakistan on a plane in the past few hours. It's not known where they're headed. Caitlin and her Canadian husband Joshua Boyle were kidnapped in Afghanistan in 2012. They've since had 3 children in captivity.
Fox's Simon Owen. Fox News. We report, you decide.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I shopped the many highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $27 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If Select